Man, I got a mole that is tearing up my yard. Okay, so I'm currently using the LiDAR system on the Sony FX6 and with the Suray, these are the Venuses, 75mm full frame anamorphic lens with the 1.6 squeeze. And I also have a glimmer glass filter on the front of this. So minimal focus is that's probably the closest I'm going to get right now to this lens. But let's just hope I calibrated this thing right. So yeah, I think I'm looking focused. I don't have a monitor out here, so I think this thing is doing a good job. So if you don't know what the LiDAR system is, essentially it can turn any of your manual focus lenses into autofocus lenses, and it is really good autofocus too. And how it works is it uses this LiDAR sensor on top. You'll see on top of the camera. I don't know if you can see right here. That is the LiDAR sensor. This is the focus motor, and then this is the handle that is required for this setup. So you need all those parts on here, which this new version requires less parts than the first iteration of the LiDAR focus system. So significant upgrade here. So overall, my first impressions of it is the build of all of the parts here feel really nice. The cables are nice that came with it. The handle is pretty much the same handle that is on the RS4, RS3. It's the Ronin handles. I believe it's the exact same one on there. So handle feels really nice. It did come with a case, even though I did not get the DJI Lidar combo kit, which was nice. And there's room to grow into the system, which I like. So calibrating this thing seems pretty straightforward. It's simple, but it does take some time. It's a little tedious, but I figured it out pretty quickly. Assuming I'm doing it right, I still probably can calibrate this one a little bit better. I did rush this calibration for this video, but overall, it seems pretty straightforward. So what you do is you set it all up, and you'll set the camera 1 meter away. You pull focus to that meter, set focus point, and then you go 4 meters back, set focus point to that, and then it calibrates. And that's pretty much it after you get it rigged up. But I think this thing is pretty good. I mean, there's also settings to control how smooth and sensitive the focus is. I believe mine's set to a 3 on sensitivity. I don't remember my exact settings now, but I'm still messing with this, getting to know it a little bit better. I'm just trying to move in and out so you guys can see how this thing is doing. It's hard for me to see on my tiny FX6 monitor up there. But overall, this thing is pretty freaking accurate. And what's also nice about it is it can see further than my lens can on the RS4 handle. So even if I'm a little bit out of frame, I'm still being showed on the LiDAR. So me walking into frame, I should already be in focus there. I don't know how well that one just pulled, but I can't see behind the camera. I'm shooting this by myself. But I just wanted to take this out here and do a little demo test and talk about my first impressions of this setup. My main issues so far that I'm running into, I'm sure you can tell on my rig here, it is funky looking. I have like 3 base plates. Not really. I have the, I forget what you call this shoulder mount pad here. And then I have the Tilta base on top of that, which is I had issues with the focus motor and the side handle, specifically on the FX6. There's not really good rigging options for the FX6 for this setup. So you pretty much have to lose the top handle of XLRs. That's why I'm using the DJI Lav right now, because I wasn't able to get any kind of audio setup that wouldn't be super complicated out here. I could have boomed, but I wanted to move around. But you have to have the side handle, and the LiDAR has to be on top of the camera or on the lens. It has to be on the camera, and then of course the focus motor, and the cables all have to reach. So that was tricky to set up. My only complaint really about the setup is the Ronin handle is a rosette to NATO, and I don't know if there's a way, but I tried to take the NATO part off so it could just be a rosette, because I could just add it. I believe I could just add it to the side of the Tilta cage there, but as far as I can tell, you can't take it off, and you have to use a NATO rail to mount the handle to the camera. So the only way I found to do it on the FX6 for now is on the right side, which requires me to remove the native FX6 handle and then trying to get the top handle on with the LiDAR. I think this LiDAR system butts up against the handle, so I have to figure out a way to rig that up if I want to use the XLR handles on top of that. So that's one of the biggest issues I've been running into it. And even now, the focus motor on this setup, that nub bumps the Manfrotto, or yeah, the Manfrotto, I had on this Manfrotto tripod. And that nub bumps the bottom when I'm trying to take it off once I put the LiDAR system on. So it's stuck on the tripod. So that's why I just threw this shoulder rig up, VCT mount. That's what that's called, the VCT mount shoulder rig, just to raise it up a little bit more. And I didn't feel like taking the base plate off of this and rebuilding the rig. So I just stacked it on top there. But yeah, that's been my only issue right now, is it takes some time to figure out your rig. But once you figure that out and then you calibrate your lenses, there are saved presets. So this is just something to keep in mind, which you should prep before shoots anyway. Building your rigs, make sure you have all your parts, but building it out and calibrating it, make sure I have it all, is just one more thing to keep in mind. So I've always loved cine lenses. I'm not a huge fan of the photo lens look, that super sharp clinical look. It has its place, but I've always loved my cine lenses, and I just got these Sirui Venus lenses, so I've been excited to try these out. And to have autofocus on these, I mean, it's autofocus on full frame anamorphic. How are we doing, LiDAR? How are we doing when it's getting darker? So that is a really cool option that I have now, has been having autofocus on these lenses. And so far, depending if I calibrated this right, I might be a little soft. But if this thing is calibrated right, I would trust this in a talking head scenario if somebody's sitting down. So if I do a 2-cam setup and somebody's moving in or out, or I have this on a dolly track that's going left and right and somebody is just moving that, I trust this thing to hit focus at the same time. So that's one less thing an AC or a cam op has to do. If somebody's dollying a camera left or right or forward and back, you can almost trust that this focus is going to hit and just be perfect. Instead of doing retake after retake and trying to hit focus, this thing will most likely get it in the first take, maybe the second if you have it all calibrated right. But once you get to know the system, I could see this being a super powerful tool in the arsenal here. But instead of doing a take multiple times, you may just save time on set, because once it's calibrated and you do the dolly shot, you'll probably nail it first time. And it requires a little less experience to use. Obviously, you still got to know the system and your camera. But other than that, it doesn't take a lot of skill to hit focus on moving shots now with manual lenses. So that's really what I'm excited for, to use this thing. But put my hand up. Yeah, it looks like it's doing a good job. So if you guys have any questions with the LiDAR system, let me know in the comments. I'm going to do an FX6 build video once I figure out the best way that this works for me to rig this up on the FX6, because that seems to be challenging, and I'm not seeing anybody doing a lot of videos on that right now, because, you know, if you have something like a Komodo, it's probably really easy to rig this thing up. It's actually even easier to rig up on my Sony a7 IV, but my FX6 is my daily driver right now, and trying to get this thing in a convenient way to build up and break down, I haven't really found the rig that I like yet. So I just wanted to make this first impressions video of the LiDAR system and what I'm thinking about it. And I'm curious to see if you guys have any questions about it, or if you want me to, if you want to see me try anything with it, let me know in the comments. Or if you have any questions about the system, leave them down below too. I'm just always mind blown watching this thing just do its thing. All right, that's all I got for this one. I'll see you guys in the next one.